It all started with a sketch on a napkin. An idea created by two walk-on bench warmers. And after 10 years of hard work and perseverance to turn their dream into a reality, it's the #1 sports bar in America.
Welcome to Walk On.
Walk-ons, because everyone needs a little playing time.
And a pleasant good evening to you and yours, and welcome to the Brevard Sports Network. Alan Slaughter-Zinski with you live for the final coaches show of the high school football pre-camp session, if you will. And we have got a great show on tap for you here tonight. Scheduled to join us will be Shane Staples, Ben Waldrop, Terrance, Carroll, Mark Ainsley, Dwayne Summers as well from the MCOA. He's going to be first up tonight. And Tyrone Giscombe as well. Now, Coach Giscombe is in Texas. He did not, was unable to be here. So we did a pre-recorded interview with Coach Giscombe, but you'll see that tonight. So here's what I want to do. I want to bring in, why don't you grab Mr. Summers? We'll bring in Dwayne Summers. Dwayne Summers from the Mid-Coast Officials Association. Spent 12 years as commissioner of football with the MCOA. We're going to talk to former commissioner about new rules. And I also want to ask him about any rule changes that are up. And so we're going to get commissioner on for our former commissioner on. Roy Holbeck is the commissioner of football. Steve Muzzy, of course, the president. And so let's bring him in and welcome him in for the first time here on Brevard Sports Network from the MCOA, Mr. Dwayne Summers. How you doing?
Alan, how you doing,
Let's
brother?
get this pulled up a little bit. Can you hear him okay?
How you doing?
I'm doing that. It's much better. All right. So, boy, you've been doing this. You look great, by the way. Let me say you look young.
It's getting deep in
But
here.
but you've been doing this a long time.
About 30 years, yeah.
Yeah, I came across a picture today. I'm going to put it up on the screen now. And I want to ask you about it. Yeah, no. Let's see here. Where's it at? I'll have Caleb look for it. We had some technical difficulties earlier. I'll have Caleb look for it. It was you in Gainesville back in 1998, the Bowls game.
Yeah.
Before we start talking about officiating, as you approach this 30 years or over 30 years, what are some of your great officiating memories?
Oh my! I was talking to your wife about that, and probably one of the better ones that I can remember right offhand was it was a college scrimmage over at UCF. I've got a great Dante Culpepper, Mean Joe Green story because I was working a scrimmage over there. We used to work scrimmages for all the colleges. I was over there working a scrimmage in August, and it had to have been. It felt like 120 degrees.
Yeah.
And with officials, they don't give us anybody to watch after us.
No.
So the players have 2 or 3 little water girls running around and giving them stuff, And I was just getting ready to, because we've been out there like 2.5 hours. Coach K back then. Oh, yeah, that was the championship game.
Yeah.
And I was just getting ready to about pass out. I'm seeing little stars, and somebody punches me on my shoulder, and I turn around, and it's Dante Culpepper, and he goes, "Here you go, Blue. You look like you could use a glass of water."
That's great.
You remember Mean Joe Green where he threw the jersey?
And the kid gives him a Coke or a Pepsi. Yeah. Hey, Mean Joe. Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great story.
So I always liked Dante Culpepper.
Yeah, he made sure he stayed hydrated there. You've seen a lot of changes come along.
Yes, sir.
At every level of this game.
Yes, sir.
You've helped institute some of these changes. What are the ones that some of the changes that you've seen over the years that you think have really happened for the better of this game?
I think one of the major ones that they've had, and they've done it all the way from college all the way down, is if your helmet pops off, you leave for
right,
play.
One play.
Because I'm telling you, the high school kids, you could probably just walk up and rip their helmets off in the old days.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're going to get killed, dude. And, back then you couldn't send them off. So, but just about every play, you had kids that were losing their helmet. So I thought that was an excellent rule. And the new targeting and the blindside block rule that's just come the last few years, that's really, really smart too. Because the coaches, and I love coaches. Don't get me wrong, I love coaches. But they will teach their kids, don't stop playing until you hear the whistle.
Right.
So you got kids getting knocked silly, and they're not looking where that's coming from.
Right.
They're going to get hurt. And that's what you got to do is you got to make the game a little bit safer for the kids.
You know, I tell you, and again, we're here with Dwayne Summers from the Mid-Coast Officials Association. A lot of people will say, well, they've really softened this game up. It's not the same game it used to. No, it hasn't. It's not, and nor should it be. The student athletes today are bigger, quicker, stronger, faster, and I probably said the same adjective 3 times there, but they are. And look at the issues that even some student athletes that just didn't even play in the NFL, maybe just college football, that are experiencing issues later in life.
Yeah.
I can tell you from personal experience, not football, but another sport, it's not pleasant getting older when you beat your body up for 25 years.
No, it's not. And I've got a metal disc in my neck. And when I was going through all this stuff, I went to the surgeon. He looks at me and he goes, "Well, you either had a lot of car wrecks or you played high school football in the 70s."
Yeah.
Because we were taught.
Same difference.
I was a linebacker.
Right.
We was taught to put our face mask right in the numbers and wrap. And you were getting a car wreck every time that you tackle. And I was a linebacker.
Yeah. That's incredible. And just high school, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. These kids shouldn't have a fear later in life that they're going to have to go get 5, 6, 7, 8 surgeries to fix a hip, a back, a neck. You know what I mean? I mean, it for lack of a better term, it sucks. It just sucks, man. Trying to sleep at night, you can't. You got to sit in a chair.
It's getting old, man.
It's ridiculous, man. I love the job that you guys do. Listen, I know I'll tell you this. Roy and I will I should say Roy because I do the reading. I get some text sometimes on Saturday mornings where Mr. Holbeck will correct us because we are far more wrong in the booth than we are at anything else we do when it comes to officiating. We may say, oh, that's not a great call, or that's that, or I don't know, maybe that should have went the other way. And I love the fact that I have the relationship with the MCOA to where they can say, hey, now wait a minute, Alan. Let me take you back here and show you why what you guys are talking about is wrong. And I just absolutely love that. What makes the MCOA so special?
You know, I think we put so much time and so much training into it. People don't realize, they think we just show up, maybe got to get a rule book from the state or something and show up and do the game. We spend hours and hours and hours talking about the rules, going over situations, watching film.
Right.
I mean, I know, and I've noticed Roy is starting to do that a lot more now too, but film to me was always very important. So when I was commissioner, we always watched film. I mean, it's very, very important to have film.
Yeah, because you can't fix something if you don't know what you did, right? I mean, that's the first thing. And in this day and age, the only way to do that is via video, right?
That's right, video.
Here's the issue I always feel bad about, not just for the MCOA, but I've had the great pleasure to get to know some other officiating associations across the great state of Florida, and the issue is the same everywhere. You cannot find new officials.
True.
And tell me what we can do to help with that, because you have some great people. Ed Dufresne for baseball, Calvin Wright, Charlie Westerfield, Roy Holbeck, Steve Muzzy, you. And I can go on and on and on and on. How can we help get more officials? Because, and let me say this too, and I don't mean to cut you. I love officials, but second-year officials shouldn't be doing varsity football.
No. And we're at the point where they have to use them.
Right.
Now, when I started a long time ago, you didn't even see a varsity field until your 4th or 5th year.
Right.
I mean, no way. I mean, you didn't even see a JV field until your 2nd year at least.
Right.
You were going to do just strictly youth. What can you do? I think we have to stop it at the ground level. You gotta be able to control the parents because everybody I know that doesn't want to do it going, man, how can you put up with that? How can you put up with that? And I got to say, I'll tell you a quick little thing real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope my ex doesn't get mad at me. My first ex-wife
Exes never get mad. Go.
My first ex-wife was from New Jersey. So they say, how can you do that? Yelled at, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, man, my first ex-wife was from Jersey. You can't call me anything I haven't heard before.
I've got one from Baltimore, so I can relate.
You can relate
I
to
can relate.
So, I think that's the biggest problem with getting officials because they don't want to get yelled at. And I'm like, you're going to get yelled at no matter what you do. But if we can keep it from being a lot more personal.
Because it is.
Oh, that's where people can stand it is people getting personal with you.
You sure you've never broadcast before? Because that's a great segue to where I want to go next. Back in 2019, Brian McCallum did just a phenomenal article. And there it is on the screen there. The FHSAA to unruly parents and fans. Cool it. Stop it. You're acting like nuts. And it was a fantastic article. I believe you're quoted in there.
Yep.
Roy Holbeck's quoted in there. Steve Muzzy. Brian, who always does a terrific job. So here we are 3 years later. Have they?
No, it's really it hasn't gotten better yet. It seems like, if anything, I think it's getting worse. But, the older guys, and that's the problem. When you say we can't get new officials, I bet the average age of a football official in the MCOA, and Roy could probably tell you better than I could, but when I was commissioner just a few years ago, the average age was 49 or 52, somewhere in there. So
Wow.
It's not going to be long, and we're going to be losing. We're already losing a lot of people to age.
And we don't want to get to a point to where we can't play on Friday nights, but if we don't start getting some new officials, that's a real possibility.
It's a real possibility. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I tell you, that's unfortunate. So if you are interested, and look, not everybody can continue their athletic careers on the playing field. This isn't a phenomenal way to continue to be close to a sport you love. And the MCOA, baseball, basketball, lacrosse, they just picked up boys lacrosse as well, soccer, volleyball, you name it, wrestling. The MCOA does it. So if you want to stay close to these student athletes in sports, but you don't have the skill set to play at the next level, be an official. MCOA.org. Contact them. There's a little bit of stipend in it too, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And they've actually increased the pay over the last 4 years where, you can't, it used to be, I used to tell all my guys when they first come out, if you're out here for the money,
get out.
Yeah, you're not doing it. Now you can at least make a good little side money, It's not the thing to do for the money.
Right.
But at least it compensates you for the time that you're putting in there and the amount of money you have to put out because equipment, license, all kinds of fees.
Gas. Let me ask you this. Each year we see a new rule change. And are there any this year that we need to discuss?
Yes, there is there's two. One of them is the biggest, is the quarterback, just like college and all the other things now, or pros, he's allowed to get outside the tackle box, the free blocking zone, and throw the ball away.
You couldn't do that in high school.
Couldn't do that in high school up until this year.
Bravo.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I was always getting that. I'll do a playoff game, and the coach says, he was outside tackle box. I said, that's great if he's playing on Saturday, coach.
It's the truth.
He's not playing on Saturday,
and
coach.
it fools us, too, and we're like, why is that? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
The other one is the chop block, I think, because before they made it really hard on an umpire or a referee with chop blocks because you had to go low or high or low. It had to be a this or this. Now, if it happens even simultaneously or anything like that, you can call it. So because that's a safety issue.
Yeah, it is, and I like it. And those are two great rules. As an ex-quarterback, I really love the outside the tackle box because that's our defense right there. Get rid of that football.
Yeah.
If there were one thing that you could tell everybody, or two things that you would want everybody to know about the MCOA and about being an official, well, if I said to you, sell it to me, how would you do that?
If you love the game, and I tell a lot of people that just like you did. We played football. I was like, man, if you really love the game, come on out and officiate, because you're just as involved. You get to know the rules a lot better than when you played, and you're right out there with the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a back judge for years and years, and I loved talking with the kids. I loved talking with the players. You know, how you doing today? Or, you know, this with the little bitty kids on Saturday morning, you know, it's little bitty kids, I'd say. You know, they're watching the parachuters come down. I'm like, hey, you going to make a good tackle for me right here? On that little court there? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, Dwayne, I tell you, I can't thank you enough for coming here tonight and talking to us. I'm telling you, Roy Holbeck, the football commissioner, all of the commissioners, of course, you know, Ed Dufresne. And, you know, I'll tell you a great story about Ed. Ed and I have a great relationship where he can come to me and say, Alan, you know, you saw that wrong. Here's why that. And I just love that. Because you know what? I learned so much. Calvin, right? The same thing.
Yeah.
I learned so much more about the sport because as a broadcaster, I jump into it with the fandom. I'm a Brevard County homer. You know, I am. And I don't make any bones about it.
Good.
And sometimes I get carried away, and sometimes our broadcasters get carried away. You guys are terrific. You're a class act, and we really appreciate the job that you do out there.
Well, we appreciate BSN, too. Let me tell you, you do a great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Dwayne Summers.
Thank you, Alan.
Yes, sir. We'll be back with Mark Ainsley from the Heritage Panthers here on Brevard Sports Net. One. All right, welcome back here to the final coaches show, and it must be said that the first coach I texted when we were planning the coaches show is this guy sitting to my left. He's the elder statesman now here in Brevard County for head football coaching. He is the head football coach for the Heritage Panthers, none other than Mr. Mark Ainsley. And, Coach, good to see you.
Hey, Alan. Good to see you, man.
First question, before we talk football, I got to check on Luke. I got to ask how Luke's doing. Is he up in college yet, or is he getting ready to go? How's he doing?
Yeah, he's so my son Luke Ainsley just graduated and just been kind of working out this summer, which is good, and he's headed off here in about 8-9 days. And
you ready?
I think he's ready. I can't. I know Mama's not ready, and I'm not sure I am either.
I hear you.
But we're proud of him, and we look forward to it. And I'm gonna fly up to a couple, I'm sure. And
there you go.
You know, I'll be watching YouTube on Saturday afternoons.
There you go, no doubt. We will too. Coach, I want to tell you something. I had 4 of your guys in our studio today for the second time, and we ended up doing an interview 3 different times because we just couldn't get it right on our end. We had technical issues. And so once we fought, I had Joe Tenta, I had Trey Ulmer, I had Devin, and I had your center.
Alberto Baez.
Yes.
Yep.
Class acts, all 4 of these young men. But every time I come down to talk to your student athletes, that is exactly what I get from them. They're class acts. How does that make you feel as a coach? And I want to talk about the academics first because, and a lot of programs in this county do a terrific job, Coach. They really, really do. But it's on your Facebook page where I see that graphic.
Right.
With the class act that your students are, with how well they do in the classroom. What does that mean as a head coach to have had the success you've had with wins and losses and have student athletes like that?
Well, I mean, that's what you're doing it for, right? It's student athlete, and you know we're trying to prepare young men, not just right after high school for whatever they're choosing to do, but we're trying to prepare young men who are in their 30s and on, right, and to be good members of society. But you know, I'm not going to sit here and take all the credit. We've got some great parents. You know, we try to come alongside of those, and those guys you're talking about have great parents and great guidance on their own life, and it's just an overall group effort. But yeah, you got some good kids you talked to today. So we're very proud of them. We're proud of what they're doing in the classroom as well as on the field, and it kind of plays out well for us.
I mean, we had 3 student athletes there today that were a 4.1, 4.3, and a 4.43 weighted GPA, and that just absolutely blew my mind. I mean, it's incredible. And they want to be engineers and architects, and not just any architects. They want to design Italian beach houses, and it was crazy. I absolutely enjoyed talking to them. All right, Coach. Man, what a job last season. To go from 1 win with a young team to taking a young team and go back to the playoffs last year. But I think you did it with Mark Ainsley style football is what I call it. Fast, physical, and nobody's going to be more conditioned than you are in the fourth quarter. And I always say that, and the kids said that today. Tell me about your style of football.
I mean, I don't know if it's my style. That's giving me a lot of credit. I don't know if credit's due. I mean, I think in high school you have to adapt to the kids that you have, and every year is different. And then people go, well, we're going to do this kid's leaving. How are you going to replace him? You don't really replace a kid. You try to find the talents that your kids have and then just exemplify their talents. And sometimes we do a good job, and quite frankly, sometimes we don't as coaches because you miss or whatever else. But you want to play great defense and you want to be physical. And as long as we're putting pads on, it's not two-hand touch. It's a physical game. And I joke around going, man, they're trying to take the physicality out of it. It's all this protect the receiver and what we're doing. And that's really not, but we want to be physical. And we want to kind of set the tone with some things, and I think that's where the game's won and lost when it comes down to it.
They said something that was very interesting today to me. They like to work, and I just put up on the screen some of your off-season workouts. And I said, I can remember being 17, 18 years old.
Yeah,
I didn't do none of that stuff.
Yeah,
I did it only because I had to. But they do it. I'm looking at these pictures and these videos you guys put up, and they really seem to do this. I get it. It's not every day and it's not every minute. But more often than not, I'm looking at them, and they seem to be enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah, you try to make conditioning fun, but sometimes it just isn't fun.
Right.
None of us really want to get on a treadmill and want to do that at our age. And so I realize it, but we try to bring it back to the game. Like, hey, this is fourth quarter drive or whatever we're doing. But, a lot of it's modeled by, I got some great assistant coaches. I really do. We've added some really good couple assistants to our staff. And I think that's just that leadership and ownership that we try to get that was modeled from guys 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
That's now being modeled to the guys who are kind of doing that. And if you can model that effort, I think it does trickle over. And we've got some great alumni that modeled that. And that's why some of them, quite frankly, are on the staff now, like Brody Lebelski was there in 2013 when A.J. Elmer was the head coach, and those guys went 12-1. And he's trying to model what those things are. So we're happy with what's going on. And we'll see where it gets us here in a couple weeks. 9 years now. 12 straight going back to Holy Trinity. I got you somewhere around 74-44, which is a tremendous record for high school football coaching. Does it feel like it's been 12 straight years? Has it flown by, or, with COVID, the slowdown and the way student athletes are? You tell me. How's this? Yeah, and you did that last year. You put up the wins and losses, and I'm like, I actually had to go back and kind of look it up, like, is that right or whatever else? And I think, when we look back at, like, going all the way back to 2011, at some point it doesn't seem that long ago, but then when I look at pictures my son now, who's 18, was in the first grade as a ball boy, it does seem like a long time ago, and we've just really embraced Brevard County. I love living in Palm Bay. I really do. But every year is different. Every year is a different adventure. And, you're right. We did COVID year to go from 1-6, and last year to kind of end up 8-3 to get in the playoffs, and have a chance and build some games there. That was good. So pretty happy with that. Here we go again.
Yeah.
Last year doesn't matter, and we're off and running.
So let's get to this year.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Tell me, let's start on the defensive side of the football. I think your favorite side of the football.
Yeah.
Let's talk about defense, because I think you got some hard-hitting dogs at linebacker. Let's talk about and your secondary is phenomenal too.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. I'll start up. We lost 2 linebackers. They were both seniors, and we look at what we got. And so the roster is always different, but Devin McDonald's going to kind of lead that crew. Last year, we played defensive end, and to be quite honest, I said, talking to Devin, I said, Devin, I don't think you've got the height and weight to jump out on someone's board at defensive end, but we put you at linebacker, you're going to jump out.
Downhill.
And Devin can run. Devin can play downhill, and he embraced it. And I tell you what, the kid has absolutely worked this offseason. Super proud of him. I've watched him go from a little kid coming as a freshman, and he's borderline. Physically, he's a grown man.
I saw him today.
Yeah.
He is a grown man.
Yeah.
I thought he was a sophomore in college. The way he looked.
he had a good spring, but it's new. It's new. You're asking a kid that just goes from defensive end, and now they're coming at you. But he's real coachable. He listens well, and he can run and he'll hit you. So he's going to play physical. We're going to put KJ Moore. He'll be in there well at linebacker, and we're still trying to find is it Tajay Douglas. Okay. Who's going to play that backside to go there. Defensive line will be anchored again by Zachary Sejean, who's been there for a couple of years now, moved around. I thought he had a really good spring. He's had a really good summer. And so, where are those other guys going to be? Connor Robinson will be back. He had a late injury, so he missed all of spring. He didn't work out much. He had a shoulder injury, had surgery, but he's cleared now. So it's kind of slowly getting him back into getting in that stance and pushing and feeling confidence. And then what's that rotation gonna be there? We had Tavarius Brown played some defensive end well in the spring game, so getting those guys in the back half. You got Taishan Benson, you got Trey Ulmer, you got a Ramon Bound, you got a Brian Ashley, you got a Jock King Joseph, you got a Tayshawn Townsend.
You got a little speed back there.
Yeah, so those guys in that 1 and 6 year that were all freshmen. And you could pick on them because they were all freshmen. Well, they're juniors now.
Right.
And they've got some experience. And there's not a lot of juniors that have played 20 games. And we took our lumps. And I knew we'd take our lumps in 2020. And so now hopefully we can cash in on that. And it's still – football's a tough thing. You play 7-on-7 all summer, and then you get to August – and it's not 7-on-7. So
you kind of have the same. It's funny. You kind of have the same feelings about 7-on-7 than I have. Have you come around to it at all? 7-on-7.
We played some 7-on-7 this summer.
Yeah. All right. So I guess you have a little bit.
We played some 7-on-7.
I tell you, talking with Joseph today and Trey today on that offensive side of the football, coach. Watching you in the spring game, your back plays 11, carries the ball 11 times, gains over 200 yards. Another explosive backfield, it looks like, for you this year. Talk about the offense.
So you talk about running back. That's Taishan Benson.
Yeah.
And he's special.
Yes.
He's just different. I've known Taishan probably since he's been in the second grade, and just his grandpa and now his uncle Michael's coming on board to be part of the coaching staff. But Taishan's special back there. But we got to move him all around. And so he won't just sit running back. He'll kind of be all over the place. And you got 10 games.
Yeah.
So you're not going to just line up and give him the ball 30 times. And we got some other guys. And I mentioned some of those guys defensively. Are they going to be starters on offense or defense? And that's what we're going to figure out this first 7-8 days of practice. But Tajay Douglas had, I thought, a really good spring game.
Yeah.
Had some big runs, caught some big balls. Receiving core. You're looking at a Ramon Brown, you're looking at a Trey Ulmer, you're looking at a Joaquin Joseph, you're looking at an Adam Muncie, a Keon Kinney. So we got some guys that can play the position for sure, as well as trickle some of these other guys in. And what's going to be Alex Withrow is back. He's going from right tackle to left tackle. Alberto is back at center. We do have a couple of new guards, so time for some of those. They played JV last year, and now it's their time. So we're looking for Lucas Moreno and Ryan Hungerford to kind of step up for us at those positions, and Dante Dalby will kind of round it out. And we got some battles going on there as well.
Yeah.
So I throw those names out. There's a couple other guys that go, hey, don't name the starters yet. So
no,
that's always fun to have competition.
Coach, covering Joe Tenta from the time he played at West Melbourne and talking to him today,
right.
I've seen a growth and a maturation in him. Talk about Joe at quarterback. And, I thought last year was a humbling experience for him. And I asked him today about this, sitting on the sidelines injured, watching somebody else go in and play the position and play it well. play it real well. How were you able to cope with that? And he was spot on, gave a great answer. Trey and him are friends. It worked out. But talk about Joe a little bit.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Joe's biggest thing is he's a competitor.
Yeah.
And I'd say this: if Joe wasn't a quarterback, he'd be playing linebacker. The kid just wants to compete, and so he's a football player. And I always kind of joke with him. I'm like, you're an outside linebacker who happens to throw a decent ball,
right?
But he's a competitor, so I know that ate at him in those games that we're making runs, and he couldn't be out there competing like it should anybody. And I think that was the hardest part. I do not think for 1 second Joe was ever jealous of Trey's success or
absolutely
the team's success. He's very excited because I would watch on the sideline. He's still getting pumped up after we score, but you want to be out there and you want to be part of it. So Joe, the most impressive thing I think Joe really worked on, he worked on getting that leg back in shape and worked on his quickness and getting back into it because you sit around for so long and trying to get back going again. So he's ready to go. We had a competition. I do think Joe came out a little bit on top, but Trey is such a dynamic athlete for us that it's a good problem for me to have.
Sure it is. And they both seem resigned to. Trey's going to do great things out there. He loves it. Absolutely loves it.
Yeah, and so Joe's doing a good job. He has to handle a lot of the pressure. And let's be honest, the quarterback position, everybody wants to criticize. It's kind of like the center. No one cares about the center until he's a bad snap. And then everyone's like, come on, snap the ball.
Right.
Yeah, but no one's watching the other 50 plays where the snap is fine. He's blocking. So quarterback takes a lot of heat. And it's sometimes, people have been watching. Joe's still 15.
Yeah, I know.
And Joe's still 15 years old. So, you go, hey, this is a young kid.
Right.
And you gotta handle him like that, but he's got that kind of moxie. And so I'm real excited by what he's gonna do. I thought he had a good summer. A real good summer. He looked good.
Good.
And trying to figure out and knowing where the weapons are because we have some weapons. We got a Conrad Bryant who's also a great receiver, maybe a tight end. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, and so we got some weapons that get guys the ball. Right. Last year, let's be honest, it was a running back show.
Right.
It was the L.J. Turner show,
Absolutely.
And I feel it. This year we can spread it around a little bit, and we got some other ways that
have them respect that. Yeah,
that hopefully we can move the ball on people.
I think you'll be able to do that. Palm Bay, Centennial, Oviedo, Merritt Island, Viera, Sebastian River, Melbourne, Harmony, Bayside. 200 students, Coach, is the number that puts you in 4 suburban with Viera, Melbourne, and Harmony. But with that said, I think it's as competitive and even of a district across the board as there is anywhere. You like the Metro Suburban?
I don't care.
Yeah,
I
knew he was going to say that.
We're going to line up and play. I mean,
right.
Either or.
Right.
When the way the playoff system is going, by the time you get, especially the third round, all the pretenders are gone.
Right.
Everyone's really good. If you're in the third round, you're really good.
Right.
And there's no way to kind of skip through that. So,
it doesn't matter.
I mean, to me, we used to be Miami Central, Northwestern. Now you're looking at Vero Beach, Osceola. Both of them pack a punch.
Still want them.
Yeah, but both of them are really good. So we're kind of focused on just us.
Yeah.
We got Satellite Beach week 1. We played Jensen Beach in the kickoff classic. So, it's not on Max Preps for whatever reason, but we open up with Satellite. We played Jensen Beach on the 19th at our place. So, and that's kind of where the focus is. I mean, if you look too far ahead, I think, and this is most teams, not all teams, but you have to be healthy.
Yeah.
We can have a great run, but we get the wrong 3 or 4 guys injured.
Right.
It can go south really quick.
In a hurry.
So that's your balance.
Right.
How much contact in practice, when to lay off, when to go. Don't keep the intensity up. So you're not lackadaisical on Friday night, but don't kill them so much they don't have legs. And so there's a balance in there. Yeah, you got Satellite up there week 1. But it's.
You're old school like me. Just go out and play. I don't care who you put in front of me. It's still one of my favorite games. Well, you're talking about Miami Central and that game at Daytona Mainland. Oh,
yeah, that was Those you don't get over too easy.
No, if I'm not over it, I know, you know.
Yeah.
Coach, we get set to wrap up here. You still have the lust and the love for the sport, that the coaching that you had from the first time you walked into it?
Yeah, I do. It's always a different challenge. The game is going to change, and you either gotta innovate and change with it or go. So there's things I'm doing now that I wouldn't have done 5 years ago, and there's some things I did 5 years ago that I wouldn't do now. And it's not that X and O won't work. It's how are you teaching it? How are you going through it?
Right.
And I still think there's something about teaching football, teaching what to do, and going over it. And that's probably why me and Joe and some of those guys get along, because I'm just a competitor.
Yeah.
And I like competing, and so we'll see where it happens, but we're pretty excited.
If I leave anybody out, let me know. Tim Baker, Billy Palmer Sr., Scott Raymond, Michael Benson, Dan Holmes, Mike Benson, Brody Linelski, Josh Hungerford, Brian Osterly, Coach. Did I leave anybody out there?
I don't think so. But
okay. I apologize if I did.
I'll get a text in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's all right. If I did, I apologize. Great coaching staff. 7-8 playoff record over the years, but when you look at the teams that you've had to go against, that's pretty impressive. I'm excited for the upcoming season, and I'll break the news here. Brevard Sports Network, like we have with Viera, we are partnered up this year with the Heritage Panthers. You'll see 8 of their 10 games right here live on BSN this year, and man, we are so pumped up about it. So there's 2 we can't do, and that's the 2. One at Centennial, and the other one is at Harmony. They go through the NFHS network, and they've got the exclusivity clause. So, but we'll make sure that we give you the best coverage of those 8 games that you've come to expect from us. Coach, always love talking to you, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
appreciate it. We're excited.
Yeah.
We got a great crew of kids, and we're going to go out there and compete, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it's
no
doubt. Be a lot of fun. Our schedule's pretty solid, so there should be a lot of close games. We better be close in a lot of them.
You didn't happen to listen to the Mark Moses show yesterday, did you?
I didn't.
Good.
We were working.
Good. That's all I'm going to say is good. Just because he asked me to make some pre-camp predictions, and I may have put some pressure on you guys, but that's all right, Coach. That's what I'm supposed to do anyway, right?
That's fine. That's fine.
Coach, I appreciate you. Mark Ainsley. Caleb, who's up next? Oh, Ben Waldrop. Ben Waldrop from the Cocoa Beach Minutemen up next here on Brevard Sports Network. And 1. All right, welcome back to Walk-Ons as we continue here with our third and final coaches show. And when I offered this gentleman the opportunity to come in week 1, week 2, or week 3, I was really glad that he took this week, because the final coaches show is really an opportunity for we get 4, maybe 5 coaches come in, and I get an opportunity to spend a little bit more time with them. And I just love talking to this guy. And he still looks like he could go out there and sack the quarterback 4 or 5 times in a game. Please help me welcome here the head coach of the Cocoa Beach Minutemen, Mr. Ben Waldrop. Coach, good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Coach. Second season, going into your second season. What did you like about what you were able to accomplish at Cocoa Beach last season?
Well, when you start at a new program, we typically call those building years, right?
Right.
Building. I hear that all the time. So it was that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of building. We built participation. the 2 previous seasons to us being there, they didn't even really have a JV program. I think they had 1 JV game the previous year, and it was a lot of 6-quarter guys. So that was an emphasis, a build participation. And we finished the season with 53 players last year, and that was a huge plus for us. 23 of those were middle schoolers. That's a dynamic of our program, our school, that a lot of schools don't have access to. There are some schools that have junior, senior high schools that may not utilize that as part of their program, and we do, and we have to. We don't really have Cocoa Beach Pop Warner, right? So there's a lot of kids that come to middle school there that haven't had the opportunity to play football yet. So we had 23 middle schoolers out there, and we built, and that was part of our junior high program. They weren't dressing on Friday nights,
right?
But we built, worked on shifting culture. I think that's an important word, shift, because it's a gradual thing.
Can't jump into that.
No, you can't do a 180 because the ship will capsize.
Right,
and that's my opinion. I feel like I learned that tough lesson a long time ago. And so we had to, pick our battles and choose our battles, and work on certain things. And we really saw a lot of those things come into fruition this past spring.
Yeah.
And this summer we've had a tremendous summer, and we're real excited about what we're going to see this season.
Here with Ben Waldrop, the head coach for the Cocoa Beach Minutemen, you got some players there. I was looking at some of the previews, and I was looking at one student athlete in particular I'm going to ask you about here coming up, but your schedule is up on the screen there, playing in the Sunshine State Athletic Conference this year. I love the Sunshine State Athletic Conference. Greg Gage, and they just do a terrific job. Coming into this season, coming out of the spring, what was it about your spring that really impressed you?
Well, there's so much to sports that's not physical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when you are when you're an athlete and you pursue it to high levels, some things you take for granted, and you get surrounded by people who are like you, or people who think like you and react like you, and but in high school sports or youth sports, everybody doesn't have the same approach. And so there's so many things about sports that are mental, and one of those things is learn how to play under adversity, how to prepare for the game, how to emotionally step up to start the game, and some of those things that as a good coaches you learn from. You learn about your team throughout the season, and you try to correct those things, and they're middle things. And I was really happy about our spring game in that our kids, we were like one heartbeat.